So, welcome back. And it's been a long time, 2 weeks. So you may have forgot what we were talking about. So this chapter, super small, ratios and rates. 3 lessons. We've done one of them. The second one we're starting today. Hopefully test by the end of next week. So we start off with ratios. And most of you guys did very well in the assignment and the quiz. Now it's just counting things, right? Some of the things were kind of tricky to count. You had to read it carefully. It was counting and putting things in the right order, right? And setting up the different versions of ratios as fractions or percentages, right? Today, we're going to put these to application kind of questions, okay? So the questions are going to sort of look like this. I'll be asking you to find what's the better deal. Suppose you want to get a hankering for some snacks, you go buy some Takis. You go to Circle K, they're selling 3 bags for $12.03. 3 bags, or you could drive further down to Walmart, and they have the same bags, but 4 of them for $15.80. The question is, which store is giving you the better deal? Is it Circle K or is it Walmart? And how do we figure out which store is giving you the better deal? Anybody have a guess on how to do this? Marshall?
Divide the price by 3.
Divide the price by 3. So you have Circle K. Let's do that. Green. Circle K. Marsha goes, divide the price by 3. Okay? So I divide the price by 3. I'm going to grab my calculator here. 12.03 divided by 3. That gives us 4.01. What does that tell us, Marshall? That tells you the price for 1 bag. So it says, this is telling us at Circle K, a bag of Takis is $4 and a penny. Now we can go to Walmart. So what's the calculation we would do for Walmart? 1580 divided by 4, right? So grab my calculator again. I go 1580. Come on, 1580 divided by 4. I get $3.95. Okay. So $3.95 per bag. What store offers the better deal? Walmart, because it's cheaper, right? So the little sentence, Walmart has the better deal on Takis. Right. So, what we just did was a Best Buy calculation, all right? And the calculation, what we did when we find the price of 1 bag or 1 thing is called a unit rate, right? So a unit rate, unit means 1, right? Compare is the amount for 1 quantity, right? So a lot of stores will have different deals. You buy a dozen of this or half a dozen of this. You got to figure out what the deal is. What's the better deal? You have to find the price for 1, and then it makes it easier to compare, right? Now, there are going to be 2 types of questions that this lesson is going to have. One is just like I just gave you right now. What's the best deal, right? And for that, we find unit rates, the price for 1. The other type of question it's going to be is, instead of saying what's cheaper, it'll say what is faster. Because that's usually the 2 things we have. We want to find the best deal or what gets us there faster or takes less amount of time, right? And those are rate questions, right? How quickly things are going, right? So that's used to compare two quantities measured in different units. Okay, we'll talk about those as well, right? But the calculations are almost identical, right? So how did we find the unit rate, the price for one? All we did is divide the two numbers, right? And that's what you're going to do. You're gonna be given a sentence with two numbers in it. You just got to divide the two. But the order that you divide the two numbers is important, right? Marshall said $12.03 divided by 3. He didn't say the other way around. He didn't put the 3 on the top, right? So when we're doing these questions for Best Buy, always involves money. The money always goes on the top, okay? And whatever you're counting goes on the bottom. So money on top, the other thing always on the bottom, right? So you're going to be dividing two numbers. That's the order you're going to divide those two things. But if the question's asking you what's faster, right? It doesn't have money. So, but it always have time in the question. If it has time, when we do questions with time in it, time is always going to be on the bottom. And the other thing, whatever you're comparing, is going to be on the top. So that's the order you're going to divide the two numbers, right? Money on top, time on bottom. All right? So two numbers, that's the recipe to how to divide them. Right? So let's do a couple practice questions. Right? So all of these questions are asking you to find unit rate, the rate for one, or the price for one. So Brandon runs 150 meters in 25 seconds. We want to find the unit rate. So we need to divide these two numbers. We have 150 meters and we have 25 seconds. What goes on the top? What goes on the bottom?
It's like time goes on the bottom.
Time. So 25 goes on the bottom and the 150 goes on the top. Okay? So now we go, okay, time on the bottom, so we grab our calculator, we divide the two numbers. So when we're using calculator, you punch the top number in first, right? So you go here, turn it on, 150 divided by 25, and we get 6. Okay. So this number 6 has a meaning. Like last time when we divided the two numbers together, we said the chips were $3.95 per bag. What is this 6? Nash?
Is that meters per second?
Yeah. So units. Like we're doing with like shapes and stuff like that. That's gonna be important as well. Like you do this, it's a 2-mark question. If you give me the 6, I'll give you 1.5. The other half mark is from your having the right units. And Nash said meters per second. How did he know that? You can always know this. Okay, it comes down from this fraction that you set up here, right? The top number is 150, and that's meters, so I'm gonna put a little m there. The bottom number is 25 seconds, so I'm gonna put a little seconds there, right? If you look at this fraction, it's meters on the top, seconds on the bottom, and I just turn that sideways, I get meters per second. That's our units. Top one first, slash bottom one. All right, so remember that little line means divide, also means the words per. So this is saying Brandon runs 6 meters in 1 second, right? So that's very useful. Using that information, you could say, hey, in 2 seconds, how far could Brandon run? 12 meters. So once you have the price for one, or the rate for one, it's easy to figure out what future values are. All right? Okay. Let's do this one. In 12 hours, Kira earned $159. So what's the unit rate? What's the rate for 1 hour? So we're going to divide two numbers. We have a 12 and we have 159. What goes on the top and what goes on the bottom? 12 on the bottom. Time goes on the bottom. All right? Let's put the units in. 12 hours. That means money is also on the top. 159. Okay. So we grab our calculator, we divide these two things together. We go 159 divided by 12, we get 1325. $13.25. And we need our units. Right? We have our slash. On the right side of the slash, it's the bottom unit. Hours. Right? On the top, we usually put it on this side of the slash, but money's a little bit different. With money, we put the dollar sign in front of the number. So we put that right there. Right? So $13.25 per hour. That's how much she's earning. That's how we do it. Do you need the notes? Bud? Yeah. All right. Should be writing this down. All of it. There you go. Okay. All right. So, first few questions. Not hard. Just practice the notation. Cat food costs $9 for 5 cans. We're going to divide these two numbers. What number goes on the top? What number goes on the bottom? 5 on the bottom, and units, cans, and $9 on the top. We grab our calculator. And grab my calculator right there. 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. But I'm not going to write down just 1.8. What should I write down? 1.80, because we're talking about money. Money has dollars and cents. Cents has 2 decimal places. So $1.80, not $1.8. Per, what do I write down? Can, right? We have to be careful with our vocab. We don't write down cans. We write down can because that's how much a can costs. $1.80 per can. All right. Next one. Mr. Dhaliwal's SUV. This is the one I drive right now. It uses 51.4 liters of gas. So I fill it up and I can drive 658 kilometers. How much fuel does he burn per kilometer? Two numbers. What number goes on the top? What number goes on the bottom?
Liters on the bottom.
Jaden says liters on the bottom, and that means kilometers on the top. Marshall?
Liters on top, kilometers on bottom.
Bottom? Okay. So two differing opinions. So this question is not a time question. It's not a money question, right? So how do you know which way is right, which way is wrong? Sometimes there'll be a clue in the question, right? So if it's not money or time, read the question carefully. It'll say, figure it out per kilometers, right? Per means a carrot, dividing by kilometers, right? So remember, slash is per kilometers. So that's telling us that kilometers should be on the bottom. So 658 kilometers is on the bottom. And the 51.4 liters is on the top. All right, so you go grab that, you go, so that was a tricky one, right? So some of them, you're gonna have to read the question a little bit more carefully. 51.4 divided by 658, we need to get this. And I'll write this down to, say, 2 decimal places. I'll say point or 0.078. And what should the units for this be? Per kilometer, but there's something, what's the top number? Liters. Okay. So that's how much fuel I use. It doesn't use very much gas to drive a kilometer. It's a tiny, small little decimal amount. Now, this brings up a different issue, right? Sometimes the cost for one thing or the rate for one thing, it's tiny. You get really small numbers, and your calculator might give you weird answers and stuff like that as well. As human beings, it's harder to interpret that. So often we go, okay, instead of going to the cost for one, we'll do it for a bigger amount. Right? So we'll go, when you look at fuel ratings of cars, they never say liters per kilometers. They'll say liters per 100 kilometers. Because liters per kilometers, you get this tiny little number. So if you get tiny little numbers, what we will do is we will times it by 100 just to make the number bigger. Right? That's the only purpose of it. And it makes it a little nicer to read. So timesing by 100, remember, means moving the decimal 2 spots. So instead of 0.078, it becomes 7.8 liters slash. Now, we can't say kilometers anymore because we times it by 100. We say 100 kilometers. And if you don't remember that trick, you can always use your calculator to times 100, right? So 0.078 times 100, right? So my car takes about 8 liters of gas to drive 100 kilometers, all right? So that's a little bit more practical to use, right? It's like, oh, Kamloops is 300 kilometers-ish away, right? So I'll be using about 24 liters roughly of gas, right? So often we'll don't do it for one when the number becomes really small. We'll go times by 100, just make it a little more reasonable to work with, right? Does that make sense? All right, what time is it? Okay. I think you guys got this. Let's do one more question. Let's go to the back side and we'll work on the assignment. All right. So, here we've got 3 packages of mixed nuts. All right. We have the first package, which is 300 grams. They're selling it for $2.19. Second package is 500 grams. They're selling for $3. Oh, the decimal missing. $3.09. And we have the last package, 700 grams for $4.83. The question is, which one's the best deal? Right? Package 1, 2, or 3. So, we're dealing with money. We're going to do package 1 here first. What goes on the top? The 300 grams, does that go on the top or the bottom? Money goes on the top. So the 300 goes on the bottom. And if we do this calculation, it's going to be a tiny number again. So you go 219 divided by 300. We get this tiny number, 0.0073. So, oh, did I put too many zeros down? Let me double check. No, that's right. So this would be grams per, sorry, not grams, it would be money per gram. Racer, come on. There we go. Money per gram. But tiny number. Makes it hard to compare. So on our calculator, you can do it all in one step. We'll just times it by 100, right? Or move the decimal 2 spots, right? So this becomes 0.73 cents, 73 cents per, what do we write down now? Not grams, but 100 grams, right? So we're just gonna do that for all of these. And we'll just write this down like this for all of them. We'll go, okay, let's do the second one. Oh, that's purple, right? We have $3.09 divided by 500 grams, right? And we go grab my calculator. I'm gonna do that. Now, I'm fine with you doing this all in one step, so you don't have to write down the second number. If you want to just go like this on your calculator and go times 100 right off of the bat, makes it easier, right? And you go 62 cents. All right, so we can do like the times 100 right here, or maybe times 100 right here. So we have 62 cents per 100 grams. All right, then we go the last situation. All right, mixed up my colors. And that one was 700 grams for 483. So 483 divided by 700. I divide the two numbers, then I times it by 100. So grab my calculator again. I go 483 divided by 700 and times that by 100. And I get 69 cents per 100 grams. So there are 3 different packages here. Which one's the best deal? Package 1, 2, or 3? 2. 2 is the cheapest, right? Bag 2 is the best deal. Okay, that's it. So